We get it rolling on the Krueger Show. Hope everybody's having a phenomenal day as we come to you on Wednesday, April the 5th. And, of course, we're brought to you by Pig in a Pickle. Check them out. Best barbecue in Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville. Open Wednesday through Sunday. They're in Corte Madera. Open 7 days a week. Go get that BBQ. Tell them that Krug sent you. And snap a picture and send it to me, and we'll send it off to the owners, Damon and Mary, and thanks to them for sponsoring the Krug Show. All right, Wayne Breezie in the house on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon in Northern California. He's joining us from the other coast. Wayne, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you too. I wish it was beautiful here, man. We got the rain weather now. It's like cold and rainy today.
Man, we've had terrible weather here in Northern California for Northern California.
Yeah.
But man, let's jump in right on it because there has been so much talk about the Niner quarterbacks. And there was a great article written today suggesting it was entitled, it says 49ers reportedly explored trading for veteran quarterback. Now, this is an article about Kirk Cousins, referring to the Mike Florio report, suggesting doubts in Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. And then, of course, in the last 24 hours, Pat McAfee on his show has been talking a lot about the potential that Aaron Rodgers to the Jets may not go down and that the Niners may sneak in there and make an offer for Rodgers. There's Lamar Jackson rumors. Now out of NBC Boston, there's a rumor that Mac Jones, a guy there, Tom Curran, floated Mac Jones for Trey Lance. What's going to happen with Matthew Stafford with the Rams, who Kyle Shanahan has loved? What's going to happen with Zach Wilson, who Kyle Shanahan has loved? And more importantly, what does it tell us about the 49er quarterbacks and maybe how Shanahan in the front office views them? What do you think, Breezy? I mean, it's incredible when you think about it. I mean, the Niners have Purdy, they got Lance, they've got Sam Darnold. I've got hope for all three of those guys to continue to get better and emerge in whatever order. Seems like a decent quarterback room to me. But what do you make of all these rumors? Do you think the Niners are concerned about Brock's elbow? Do you think they know something more than we know, and Brock could be out a good portion of the year? Do you think it tells us that they don't believe in Trey Lance? What do you think? What do you make of all these Rodgers rumors, Cousins rumors, Mac Jones rumors? Something? Nothing? What is it?
I mean, as long as Aaron Rodgers is out there, there's going to be rumors to him to the 49ers. As long as Kirk Cousins is still playing football, there are going to be ties with him and Kyle Shanahan to the 49ers. The cool thing is there are rumors, and everybody's giving their takes about like why Kirk Cousins may make sense. You know, his restructured contract would help the 49ers. They won't have to pay so much, blah, 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 all that good stuff. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, the 49ers will have to figure out how to magically make that work financially. And I don't think they want to put themselves in that particular situation. When you look at the 49ers and how they're built to win now and they're built to win later. And the reason why I said they're built to win later is basically because of the three quarterbacks that they have on the roster and the type of contracts and the fact that they're young and the fact that they continue to build this roster and keep it flourishing. It's like a machine, right? So, if this person contract expires, you fill it in with the next one and the next one and the next one. But at some point, the 49ers are going to have to pay a quarterback, and I just don't think right now is that point. And when you look at the San Francisco 49ers, Larry, I'm saying to myself, this team can get to that game. They can get to the big dance. They can get to the Super Bowl. Can they pull it off? And it just comes down to health. I don't think it's the play of the quarterback or the style of the quarterback. It comes down to the health of a quarterback, the health of the team, if they have the right pieces in place. And I think that's just what it is. I'm not going to say it's a bunch of fluff, but I mean, these rumors are out there for a reason. I do think that the 49ers entertain it. I think that they listen to the calls, and you got to think about it. Last year, what were they trying to do? 2 years ago, before they drafted Trey Lance, Kyle called Matt LaFleur and asked him how much would it cost to get Aaron Rodgers. Now that was a couple of years ago, 3 years ago to be exact, and now Aaron Rodgers kind of made it clear he doesn't want to play for the 49ers. So I don't know. I don't know how to look at it or how to receive it. I just feel like it's always going to be out there in the universe. And until Aaron Rodgers lands his butt on a team that's going to be there. And as far as Kirk Cousins, there's always going to be that affinity connection between him and Kyle Shanahan. They're like brothers from another mother or something. Like, and so it's
Yeah,
going to always be there.
I know. The Cousins one is the one I don't really buy, just because, though I do believe Minnesota, that's where Trey Lance is from. If Trey Lance was going to get moved, it would make sense that the Vikings would have a lot of interest. And if I were them, I would be interested. But I don't see the Cousins thing. His contract is big. That they're the one thing about the Niners is I don't think they're blowing smoke when they just talked about how important having a quarterback on a rookie deal
Correct.
really is to their cap. So I think you can draw a line through Cousins. I think that's just, it's easy to speculate about that and on Kirk Cousins, and it's just as you said, it's like kind of never going to go away. Kyle Shanahan literally debunked the Lamar Jackson thing last week in Arizona. He was asked directly about Lamar. He said he doesn't fit our cap, he doesn't fit our offense, whatever he said, but he basically made it seem like they couldn't afford him. So if you can't afford Cousins and you can't afford Jackson, at least what Kyle's saying and what John's saying, those things are consistent. The one thing on Rodgers that makes you wonder is he's under contract next year for only $15 million. So the one thing that you would say that you said that I would push back on at all is that you said they're built to win today and built to win tomorrow. Well, they're built to win tomorrow. I really believe that with the young talent they have and Brock and Trey. But if Trey, in their eyes, is not ready, and if Brock is not healthy and not ready, then maybe they're not ready to win. Like I view when you first said that, I'm like, yeah, he's right. Yeah, they're built to win today and tomorrow, but that today is built on either Trey being up to speed or Brock being healthy, and neither of those may wind up being the case. And I guess in that scenario, maybe a trade for Aaron Rodgers makes sense, but even so, they don't seem like they have the draft capital to make it happen.
Yeah, they would have to give up probably all their third round picks, uh, second round, first round pick from next year. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think the 49ers value picks, and they're always playing with house money. I mean, look at all the comp picks that they get, and it's not really they're not really their picks anyway, and so it's like house money. So you can kind of spend and do whatever you kind of like want with those picks. But the reason why I said that they're ready to win now, though, I don't think it takes a super developed Trey Lance to win a Super Bowl. And by the time they get to that game, he's going to be far more developed than what he would be in week 1. Look, the offense is built in a specific way to run the ball, set up play action pass. I think that's Kyle Shanahan's niche. That's what he wants to do. I think every coach kind of like wants to do that. We run the ball effectively, set up the play action pass, the 3 drop back, the 5 drop back, and throw that ball down the field. I think Trey Lance does it better than anyone on this roster. He does it better than Brock Purdy, does it better than Sam Darnold. It's just what he is. It's the type of quarterback he is. That's probably why his completion percentage is always going to be kind of like jacked up, because he's looking to do that. Like, he's looking to go deep first, short second. And I think what he has to figure out is how to go short first, deep second, because that's kind of like Kyle Shanahan's West Coast adaptation from Bill Walsh type of a system that he's running right now. So I feel like they could win now. You're just gonna have to allow the growing pains with the Trey Lance and just trust the rest of the team around them. Look what they have around them. I mean, now he has Christian McCaffrey. You'll have a healthy George Kittle, 2 pieces he didn't have any of. I think his offensive line may be a little bit better than what it was week 1 starting in Chicago. Let's pray that there's no monsoon. We could deal with rain, but no monsoon again when there's this week when wherever we're playing, whether we're at home or on the road. So there's so many different variables that may not be the same to why we couldn't see this success from Trey Lance. And we just got to hope that he's healthy. I think that's what it comes down to again. It's about being healthy. Is he going to be okay coming off of this ankle? And he's playing quarterback. I think he'll be fine. He probably won't run at first, but it's just throwing the ball, something that he does. He's been doing. So
So you're a believer that they're going to go to camp with what they got, with
I, I,
Purdy,
I
with Lance, and with Darnold.
I am. They won't look at a different quarterback. Now, the 49ers are notorious for making an end season trade. If they feel like there's a piece that they need, they will make the trade. Doesn't have you don't have to rush to get an Aaron Rodgers right now. You test out Trey Lance, you see what you got in him. If he's on the positive and the up and up, you rock out with it. You can still allow Brock to continue to get healthy, and you have Sam Darnold as your insurance plan.
Interesting today, Fox's Shannon Sharp says that he thinks that Mac Jones should demand a trade out of New England. He said Shannon Sharp says that Jones should want out of New England because Bill Belichick is shopping him. Supposedly, Belichick is mad because Mac Jones was disloyal and criticized Joe Judge and Matt Patricia and went outside the ranks for guidance or help on the Patriots offense. And you know, there's a lot of talk that Belichick's upset with Mac Jones and maybe shopping Mac Jones. And there's speculation, Tom Curran speculating that the Niners would trade Lance to New England for Mac Jones. What would be the reaction? First of all, what do you think happened to Mac Jones? Mac Jones, is it as simple as Mac Jones had a good rookie year and then had bad coaching in the second year? What do you make of Mac Jones? What do you make of the rumor sending him here?
Larry, you're one of the smartest people I know. Matt Patricia was his offensive coordinator his second year. What that's never going to work for any quarterback. Matt Patricia would have messed up Tom Brady. I'm just saying, like, it, I'm not upset with Mac Jones. I understand what he did. He kind of like pulled the Aaron Rodgers over there in New England. He's going to be looked down upon, and once Bill is through with you, he's through. So unfortunately, his time may be over, but there's no way Mac Jones will be here in San Francisco. If that happened, oh my goodness, the media is waiting to release the button. Like, I mean, the national media, they're ready because that was who they pinned to be the quarterback for the 49ers. They thought that Kyle Shanahan was going to go with Mac Jones, and he went with Trey Lance. I don't know. Now, it's interesting that you brought that up because I also heard that there's a possibility that the New England Patriots may be trading up in the draft to draft Anthony Richardson, which would be that second type of stint. When they brought in Cam Newton, I mean, he was old and dirty, right? He was just he was done. His career is pretty much over. But now they'll get a nice little fresh one. What if they don't have to trade up to get Anthony Richardson? Damn it. And they think about trading for trade. Oh man, I don't want to think about this.
Well, here's the thing. I got a text or an direct tweet from a guy who says, "Hey Larry, unpopular take, but I would trade Trey Lance for Mac Jones straight up. Patriots' offensive talent and coaching wasn't just bad; it was atrocious. Jones's rookie year under McDaniels was a Pro Bowl year. I bet that the Niners are a similar situation to Bama. Mac Jones was no joke at Bama. Only negative, it looked like he was favoring his knee this year." Plus, he's got the bad body language. I don't know, man. The same reason I didn't like Mac Jones over Trey Lance, and preferred Trey Lance on draft day. I still prefer Trey Lance.
Same here.
Because I think Trey, yes, as Mac Jones got more pelts on the wall right now in the NFL than Trey. Yeah, there's no doubt, no debating that. But the whole purpose of drafting Trey, I think, was not for year one. It was the upside potential. I think everybody knew that Mac was more polished, coming off a national championship kind of a roster at Bama. He was more ready to go. Even though they had similar numbers of games played in college, Mac was the guy that was going to be good now. Trey was the guy that was going to be potentially awesome later. And so to me, it doesn't make sense to pivot off of Trey for Mac Jones because now you just want, instead of wanting great and trying to get great, and you're now just okay with pretty good, because I think that's what Mac Jones is. And then if you really love Brock Purdy, Mac Jones is going to block Brock Purdy from playing. There's that. The only thing that makes the Mac Jones thing even at all makes me think about it for even a minute, Breezy, is the fact that it is another quarterback on a rookie deal.
That's it.
And so if they wanted to, quote unquote, have a quarterback on a rookie deal, and if Shanahan really doesn't value the upside potential of Trey or is no longer interested in developing him or cultivating his talent, then he just wants a guy who's going to be able to go out there and run his system and run his plays. Who knows? Maybe everybody was right on draft day. Maybe Shanahan wanted Mac Jones and was convinced into Trey. But it would be hard for him to say that it would be hard for him to say that he was all in on Trey if he now makes this deal. So to me, I can't see Mac Jones coming here. I think it would be hugely unpopular to bring him here. Rodgers, I wouldn't go in that direction either, just because I think Rodgers is regressing. And I think we saw clear regression. I think he no longer wants to stand in against the rush. He wants to get the ball out So if you can put heavy rush on him, he's gonna throw it into the turf or throw it away or just throw it up for grabs. And I don't like that at this point. I like the Rodgers from 3 4 years ago a lot more than what I saw this year.
Yeah, if you look at football, Larry, it's just faster. It's fast. The processing is quicker. No disrespect to the elder quarterbacks of the league, but you also saw it with Tom Brady. Like he was still good. He just wasn't great anymore. And it's just because these defensive players, the tackles, the edges, the linebackers, you name it, they're fast. They're getting to the quarterbacks a lot quicker than what they were. They're not as big as they used to be, but they're just as strong, right? And so that's the difference in football. Football has sped up for our older quarterbacks, and that's why it may be he may have one more season, maybe one and a possible more seasons, and you're seeing it with a lot of the quarterbacks that have been in the league for a while. Even Russell Wilson looked terrible last year. I mean, I know he beat the 49ers, but he just didn't look as good, and he's a little bit younger than Aaron Rodgers. So look. I feel like you should stay away from Aaron Rodgers. Now, if they did go that route, man, we're the number one. We should be the number one contender because I
Well,
feel
they
like
are the Niners are the over have the highest over under in Vegas today.
then they should be number one or something because you add Aaron Rodgers here, he can still get the ball out quick. We have a quick game of offense that we like to run, and it'll set up for those deep shots he likes to take down the field. It would be crazy. I just don't think the 49ers should go that route. I feel like they have some Aaron Rodgers-esque type of quarterbacks right here. They just have to develop.
Yeah, no, if you said to me, what room would you want to go forward with? I'm going forward with the room they got. The only way I'm not going forward with the room they got is if they think, you know what, Trey's going to be really good, but like me, they think it's not going to come this year, that it's going to come in future years. Then I'd be interested in Rodgers. Oh, and if you thought Purdy for sure would make a successful return, but it also may be not until November or December, because I don't think the 49ers want to give away Trent Williams, maybe final bite at the apple with Sam Darnold and the development of Trey Lance. Even though I would show that patience, the indications are that they aren't going to show that patience. So maybe if they think Brock is not coming back until later, maybe they go for Rodgers. And if you can get him for I don't know, some day two picks and a conditional pick, maybe it makes sense. The only reason it's even something I would entertain is just because you do have Purdy and Lance for the future, and you don't maybe not know about the present, and you're kind of built to win now the rest of your roster. One more on the quarterbacks before we jump topics. I think it's pretty likely they're going to draft a quarterback in this draft.
Agreed.
It's not going to come on day one. It's probably going to come, or it's definitely not going to come on day one. Right. It may not come on day two, which is rounds 2 or 3. It may be a day 3 guy. Give me a quarterback in this draft that you're like, you know what? That's the guy that I like to round out the room. To me, the options are Clayton Tune, Tanner McKee, Jake Hayner, Max Duggan, Dorian Thompson Robinson, Malik Cunningham, Stetson Bennett. Out of that group, I like Tune and Duggan and Cunningham because they're all mobile. And I think what you said is spot on, that last answer. The game has sped up. The athletes on defense are smaller and faster, and the quarterbacks need movement ability is absolutely at a premium. And I don't think you can win anymore when you're the Mac Joneses of the world. I think you have to have movement ability. You don't have to be a sprinter, but you have to have movement ability within the pocket. And Cunningham, Duggan, and Clayton Tune and DTR probably the most mobile of the group. What do you think? Is there some of that group? Who do you like?
Yeah, like out of that group, and I'm glad you mentioned the last one that you just brought in there, DTR from UCLA. He would be the guy that I would go with because not only is he mobile, he's accurate, and so you're looking for those short, quick throws, accurate, being able to roll out of the pocket, do those type of things, and so he's like a Brock Purdy kind of like 2.0 or whatnot. It's like an upgrade to me over what Brock did. Clayton Tune's a good guy. I didn't like his Senior Bowl. I didn't think he took command of the offense at the Senior Bowl. I know it wasn't his
I agree.
offense,
I liked him, but I didn't like him at the Senior Bowl.
yeah, which was his All-Star game. If you're an All-Star, you got to show up. You got to show out, right? Max Duggan didn't really like at the Senior Bowl, but if you want the best mobile quarterback, it's Max Duggan. I mean, the guy just takes the ball, tucks it, and runs. I mean, that's just who he is. He's fast, he's quick, and so if you wanted only a mobile guy that can run the ball, essentially like a Taysom type of Hill type of guy, not a power, but more guy that could get to the outside, it would be Max. But DTR is the guy that I would go with all the way. I do like Jake Hayner. I believe he's going to get drafted in the third or fourth round. Somebody's going to jump up. He's probably this year's type of Russell Wilson type of a quarterback. He had the best Senior Bowl out of all the quarterbacks, but he's definitely not going to be there for the 49ers. So if the 49ers do draft, it won't be until the seventh round, and they're going to have a nice little high draft grade. And I think they have probably like a fifth round draft grade or a sixth round draft grade on a DTR during Thompson Robinson. So I feel like that's the kid that they would draft. But again, if they fall, they'll go undrafted. And next thing you know, they'll get a quarterback undrafted. So it's going to be interesting. But they will get another quarterback. You're right.
You know, the two guys that really fascinate me when I look at this group, it's Duggan because of what he did at TCU,
Yeah.
and also DTR because both these guys have the two traits that I think, almost like combining Brock and Trey from the standpoint of Brock played a ton of college games. Both these guys played a ton of college games, but Trey's got that incredible athleticism and second level ability, and that's what you see from DTR, and that's what you see a little bit from Duggan. So I kind of like, the quarterbacks that have had collegiate success, have played a lot of games, so they've seen everything, and have that second level, escapability and mobility. I mean, DTR very mobile. I believe Duggan ran like 4.52 in Indy, so he obviously he's a runner. You kind of already referenced that.
Fast guy, man.
So yeah, I mean those two guys to me would be really really intriguing. Okay, the draft 3 weeks away. It's April 27th. The Niners have the 99th pick overall to start. They don't pick in round 1 or round 2. We're starting to get some indications of different players that they like. There's two schools that both have two guys each that they're rumored to really like, and I really like all four of these guys, Breezy. Let's start with Louisville. They have a slot corner named Catrell Clark, who's just phenomenal, man. I mean, he breaks on the ball. The ball production's awesome. He can play the slot. He could be a dominating slot corner, probably projected for the fourth round. They could get him in the late third. And then today, Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network reported that Yaya Diaby, Yaya, which is a great name, by the way, that the defensive end from Louisville, who's 6'3", 263, that he worked out with the 49ers. And I love Diaby, 4.51 in the 40, 37-inch vertical. He's got collegiate production. And then Pittsburgh, they got like two guys at Pittsburgh, the safety Brandon Hill, who reminds me a lot of John Lynch as far as this guy will knock you silly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Brandon Hill will knock you out. And then there's a running back, and Izzy Abanaconda from Pittsburgh. Those four guys. Hill looks like this kind of safety that you need that will start you and separate you from the ball. Abanaconda looks awesome. I mean, Abanaconda might be one of the great players in this draft. Yaya Diaby is super productive and incredibly athletic. I love the marriage of those two traits. And then Catrell Clark, and all these guys, Diaby's thought to be like fourth or fifth round. Hill's going to be a day 3 guy. Abanaconda's probably going to go. They'd probably, if they wanted him, they'd have to use a third round pick on him, a late third. But all four of those guys are intriguing as hell. And what they all have in common for the most part, it's when you marry collegiate production, Breezy, with high-level athleticism, or awesome production on college, but then you're a big-time NFL athlete. And all four of those guys fit that mold. What do you think of those guys? What do you think of those? Tony Pauline, who I know really well, former NFL scout, he says the Niners are super interested in Catrell Clark. So as far as I'm concerned, of all of the rumors, you can take that one to the bank. But then the other three guys have all met with the Niners, and very intriguing athletes.
I got to start with the safety because the 49ers are going to draft a safety. And the question is when? Because Brandon Hill, if he's available in the 5th round, that's the guy. I'm not sure if they go higher on drafting the safety. They usually don't. Usually draft safeties fifth, sixth round. That's kind of like where they get their safeties. You look at Talanoa Hufanga. Look how he's panned out. I wanted to talk about Brandon Hill because you reminded me. You comped him to a John Lynch type of guy, and so people might not remember that John Lynch was a thumper, like
Yeah.
thump thumpity thump thumper, like And so I like Brandon Hill, and here's why. Our new defensive coordinator is Steve Wilkes. Do you remember a safety by the name of Sean Taylor?
Yes. One of the best ever until he
Yep.
unfortunately met
Yep.
his demise.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace. Rest in heaven, Sean Taylor, right? And so I get flashes that the Brandon Hill type of trait of a safety, speed, power, size, can possibly be that guy. They're looking for these athletic guys. And I like that you brought that up. The key to the 49ers draft success is athleticism. They feel like they can teach the rest. But if they get these high freakish type of athletes, if you go back to the year with Drake Jackson, he was a freakish athlete. I mean, you got a defensive end over 300 pounds doing backflips. That's a freak. That's what that is. And so look at the players that they're targeting. I like the kid Clark out of Louisville as well. I just weird if they're gonna draft. They're definitely gonna be looking for a nickelback. It's just weird if they're gonna draft a nickelback so high. But I like it. You said that you got a source. It's probably signed,
He's
sealed, and delivered.
yeah. I mean, well, it sounds like he's projected K'Trell Clark to go in the fourth round.
Yeah,
So they have those 3 picks in the compensatory after the third round, and maybe it lines up. I would say that they may use one of those on him. It's interesting. I agree with you. The nickel corner though has become like the slot corner has become like one of the most important guys in your defense
yes, sir.
compared to as the Niners just let I think a great linebacker in Azeez Al-Shaair walk
They
in
had to.
free agency
Yeah,
because they don't play 3 linebackers on the field that much. It's hard to justify giving Azeez the kind of cake that he was going to get
bingo.
when you've got, in reality, the third linebacker's on the sideline and he's being replaced by K'Trell Clark, the slot corner or the extra DB, the nickel corner. So I think the Niners are going to look for 2 specific players in their secondary. I think
Okay.
they're going to look for that deep middle player who also has some thump. And I think that's Brandon Hill. And I think they're going to be looking for a guy who's a nickel corner who can be an outstanding nickel corner. And I think that could be Clark. I think those 2 fits really make a lot of sense. Diaby, though, if you watch the film on
Oh my
him, Breezy,
gosh.
he ran 4.51.
I
He
know.
had a 1.56 split, 10-yard split, 37-inch vert at 260 pounds, projected to go in the 5th round. But if you look at his collegiate production, 14 tackles for loss this year,
There it is.
9 sacks.
Speed
9 sacks. That's a lot.
off the edge. That is what the 49ers are lacking. Speed off the edge. The D Ford experiment, it didn't work out well, but man, had it worked out, oh my goodness, you can understand what the 49ers were seriously trying to do. You get the young Nick Bosa in here. Now you have this veteran speed rusher on the other side. After D Ford kind of like it just didn't pan out. They tried to manipulate and create pressures and generate pressures with multitude of guys, your Samson Ebukoms and your Charles Omenihues, your Jordan Willises, all those types of guys out there on the edge, and they're just not your speed guys. Even Drake Jackson is not much of a speed guy off the edge. He's a freakish athlete that's going to be able to wrap and get people down in the backfield, tackles for losses, but you need some speed off the edge. That's a really good prospect. When I'm sitting here doing my mock drafts, I'm looking for those fast edge rushers off the edge. That's why I like Will McDonald out of Iowa. Like I would love. He's a freakish athlete, but he
Freakish.
some speed off the edge. There's reasons why I'm looking at those particular players. But I want to talk about Abanaconda. The one thing the 49ers are lacking.
Awesome, isn't he? I mean,
Oh my
he's
gosh.
awesome to watch. I can
Listen,
watch film on that kid all day. He's 215 pounds, but he is explosive,
third
man.
round, Larry. I just have
Would you go running back that early?
Why not? They do it every year. Why mess
Yeah,
up the process now? Look, the 49ers have zero problems letting go of running backs. They have zero problems of bringing in running backs. If Bobby Turner says that's a guy that I want here, Kyle Shanahan's going to make it happen. And you're going to have to get him in the third round. He's not dropping far because his production and his film and everything is starting to rise up. The kid is fast. That's the one thing the Niners are lacking in their running back game. They have the power back in Jordan Mason. They have the change of speed back, like in a Christian McCaffrey, who's the best pass catching back probably in the NFL. Then you have an Elijah Mitchell who can come in and relieve some of that, keep the speed up, keep the power up. And the question is, who's going to be that fourth guy? Like, are they going to go with TDP? Well, we don't know. We got to see how he is when he comes back into camp. But Jordan Mason gives you value because he plays special teams very well over TDP. And so that fourth spot is always expendable. And I learned that last year. I'm like, dang, they drafted Trey Sermon in the third round. And next thing you know, he got cut. I didn't think you would cut a draft pick. I watched the draft pick get cut. That was weird to me, Larry. So that fourth running back spot is always expendable, and they might just keep churning it until they find the piece that they need. The 49ers lack speed in the running back. And when I say speed, I mean the home run hitter. But Mostert, Breida, they were home run hitters. Kyle Shanahan would call a play. You made the right blocks. There was nobody catching them. And if you looked at some of the plays that we did last year, Larry, it was like, dang, yo, he could have just outran that one more guy if he didn't run out of gas. A lot of those were touchdowns. They were home run touchdowns called by Kyle Shanahan. So I think he wants to import that speed back into his run game.
Well, Anabaconda is just something else, man. You gotta watch this guy. They call him Izzy. He's from Brooklyn, New York. He went to Lincoln High School in New York, and he finished his career at Pitt. 2,100 yards, 28 touchdowns, 5.6 a carry, caught 38 passes out of the backfield for 9.3 a reception. We're talking about one of the most prolific running backs in the country. I mean, this guy was absolutely impressive, and he missed a game and a half due to injury. He missed the second half of the Georgia Tech game and the entire Syracuse game. So, yeah, I really like him. I mean, have you seen Keaton Mitchell from ECU?
No.
He's also a ridiculous speed back. To me, there's the two guys that I would consider drafting right there. I mean, I'm an A&M fan, and Devin Akane is super fast, but he's like too top heavy, and he's only 180 pounds, and I don't know. I mean, I also
He's
like
speedy,
Tyjae
though.
Spears from Tulane. I don't know
I
if you
like
saw
him
the
too.
Tulane running back who rumbled all over SC late in the year, but Abanaconda, I think would be a terrific pick. I would love to use one of the third round picks on him, but the other guy is Keaton Mitchell, who you got to check out from East Carolina. Now, he's only 5'8", 180, but this guy
Tiny.
is absolutely. He's from McDonough, Georgia. He is so fast. I mean, this guy is like gone in a heartbeat. I mean, this is your Mostert kind of a speed. This guy can, he can get to the edge basically at will. Now he's smaller and he's not an every down guy. I mean, that 5'9", 185. That's not the mail carrier.
But dude,
But
this dude,
Abanaconda, by comparison, 5'11", 215. So, I mean, to me, Abanaconda, I prefer him over Keaton Mitchell.
yeah.
But either one of those guys, a big time speed back. And it leads me into our final topic here. And that is Peter Panessy, who's a good guy who writes for Fansided, had an article out this week, and he had the 49ers that he thinks potentially are the most likely to be traded this draft season, like during the draft.
Okay.
And none of them are Trey Lance, but one of them on the list, and since we're talking running back, is Elijah
Like
Mitchell.
Mitchell. Yeah.
And his reasoning, I mean, Elijah Mitchell had 963 yards his rookie year. He played 11 games in 2011. He played only 5 games this last year. And this is a loaded draft with a lot of good backs. And there might be a team out there that would look at Elijah Mitchell and say, you know what? Yeah, we like what we've seen from Elijah Mitchell. We'll give you a pick for Elijah Mitchell. And it may be just a way to save a few bucks and turn over the roster at running back and also invest in the guys you like this year. It seems like Shanahan keeps turning over his backs. What do you think of that one? Elijah Mitchell being moved.
It's funny. I was talking to my friend John Chapman. We did a couple of shows this week, and he brought that up as well. He brought that if Kyle was willing to go with another running back, Elijah Mitchell can be expendable. You can get something for it. I mean, what was he, a 6th round picks?
Yeah,
And you
out
probably
of
could,
Louisiana.
yeah, you could Louisiana State, and you probably can flip it, right? The Raging Cajuns. You can probably flip them into a 5th, 4th rounder. We don't have a 4th rounder this year. What if you get a 4th round pick on Elijah Mitchell on draft day, and you move on, and then you draft one of these running backs that we're talking about, right? And so this is something that can possibly go down, guys. Let's not act like the 49ers won't trade players. They will get rid of players before the draft, on the draft. They usually don't trade players during the season. That we do know. That's their trend, but they will trade before the season. And when you look at Elijah Mitchell, you mean like, dang, he had a really productive rookie season. He was the bell cow, and then his sophomore season, he just couldn't shake the injuries. And, unfortunately, once you become injury plagued, I guess I would say, especially for a running back, they need their knees. And once those knees kind of start like going and bucking on you, you might want to move on from it. And Bill Walsh was great at moving on from players before their time was up. So it's a possibility that he could be the expendable piece. It would suck because I really wanted him to, get back under the wraps for another season, but it's going to be hard work. Christian McCaffrey is one. Elijah Mitchell should be sitting at 2 if healthy. And it's funny, we don't talk about his health. And it's crazy, Larry, that I'm walking into Lincoln Financial Field and I get the alert, Larry, that he is inactive and I'd smack somebody because I was mad. You
Well, and
know,
I want to see some J.P. Mason. I still have belief
time.
in TDP.
Yeah.
So as much as I like Elijah because he doesn't fumble and he can run between the tackles, his style and his durability long term do not jive. I mean, he's a guy who doesn't fumble, but he runs between the tackles, and he's not the biggest bodied guy. So I mean, I really like him, and I love it. I love his dependability, but I could see him being attractive to somebody, and I think he would make sense to move. Now, here are the other names that Peter Panessy threw out. These are interesting. Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas is 24, Breezy. He played only 41 defensive snaps in 2022. He was a 3rd round pick. There was a lot of talk that Adam Peters pounded the table for Ambry Thomas. What do you do with Ambry Thomas? What do you make of the regression? That guy looked good at the end of the year 2 years ago. This year, he was solely a special team player, almost had a total non factor from scrimmage. What would you do with Ambry Thomas? To me, that's the guy that I could see being value because he still has good size, good measurables. He's not old. He's not hurt. There should be some team that had a good grade on him coming out of Michigan that would probably give you a day 3 pick. There's a lot of value in corners, but I would definitely look to move him because it just isn't happening here.
It's funny that you brought that up because I feel like Ambry Thomas is one of those pieces that might not get traded because they might lowball the 49ers. I mean, you
Yeah.
just upgraded his value. You told me how much he could do potentially. I mean, he at the end of his rookie season was phenomenal, and then he couldn't stay healthy last year either. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about the injuries, but the one thing I'm learning from Kyle Shanahan is you can lose your job due to an injury, and it's hard as hell to get it back, right? So it's not like it's an easy task. And with these other younger quarterbacks, I mean, cornerbacks, I want to see Samuel Womack be better. I want to see these younger guys, the Quantrez Knights and all these guys, like, will they get a chance? So Ambry, unfortunately, has an uphill battle to climb. It's a possibility if he's not traded, though, that he's cut.
You're totally right. You're absolutely right. They may draft him off the roster, as they
Isn't that
say.
crazy?
How about Javon Kinlaw? Panessy's got Kinlaw here. Former 1st round pick. He's not going to have his 5th-year option picked up. He only played 10 games total in the last 2 seasons combined. What do you think? They bring Kinlaw back? Do they move him on draft day? There's definitely teams in the league that would take him.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to what a team is willing to give up for Javon Kinlaw. I think the 49ers have a price and they're set on it. And if you come in there with the low ball, I think the 49ers are prepared to go into the season with Javon Kinlaw. I mean, if you look at him, he's looking good. He's looking a lot leaner, but none of that matters until he gets on the football field and gets some wear and tear on his body and things like that. But I think the 49ers want to keep that defensive tackle rotation fresh. I know they spent a lot of money on Javon Hargrave But why not keep fresher pieces and keep that rotation good to go? So I think the 49ers are going to be prepared to keep him. I don't think they're going to move on from him, but if a team makes you an offer, you can't refuse it. I mean, it's not going to be, you're not going to get a first round pick, guys, but if they feel like they can get something of a value to where they can draft something next year or this, they may possibly move on. But I just don't think that's what the 49ers have in their plans. I think they're going to keep him for his last year.
And Peter Pan, do you know Peter at all? Peter
I've never
Panessy?
met Peter. No.
Yeah, I was on a live stream with him, or maybe I did an interview with him on something he was doing earlier this year. And he's a real good Niner content creator, and he's got this up today. The 4 Niner players that would be traded, and he's got Ambry Thomas,
I
Javon
like that.
Kinlaw, Elijah Mitchell. Now I can see as we just went through it, I can see all 3 of those guys. The 4th guy he's got here, I will guarantee you,
You better
this
not be
guy will.
Brandon Ayuk.
No.
Okay.
He's going with Marcelino McCrary-Ball. And
Nah.
I will say right now, there is 0% chance that Marcelino McCrary-Ball gets traded. And
No.
his theory is that, with Demetrius Flanagan Foles and Oren Burks and so on and so forth, that those guys being there will prevent Marcelino from getting an opportunity. I think Marcelino is the guy that they have circled, X'd, highlighted as the replacement for Azeez Al-Shaair. He's not going anywhere. Not only that, his value is going to skyrocket. I'll put it down right here for you. On April the 5th of 2023, we're before the draft, we're before minicamp, we're before training camp, and obviously the cut-down date before preseason. Marcelino McCrary-Ball will make the team. He'll be an outstanding 49er defensive player. And if there was an injury to Greenlaw or to Warner, Marcelino McCrary-Ball will play from scrimmage. And when he gets out there, he's going to show the world that guy is a baller. And I watched college football. He was terrific in college football. He played corner. He transitioned to safety. He's now moved to kind of like a hybrid linebacker, safety, weak side backer, special teamer. Breezy, this guy's the chart. I mean, he's just going up. McCrary-Ball has a bright, bright future.
Very bright. I don't see the 49ers moving on from a guy that they could have offered a future contract to, and they didn't. They chose to sign him on a 1-year deal, right? And so when you look at all those other guys on those future contracts, you're saying to myself, wow, like what has this kid done? And it's his ability to be versatile. These are the type of players that they're looking for, those hybrid guys. I mean, there's a guy right now, I believe a prospect that they're looking at from Sacramento State who's also a hybrid guy, could play special.
Marte Mapu,
There it
yeah.
is,
I'm a Sac
right?
State guy, Breezy.
Oh, there
I
you go.
went to Sac State. There you go. Hornets, Stingers up.
So listen, these are the players that they're looking for, and you got to remember, man, from their first experience. I mean, look at Fred Warner. What was Fred Warner? He was a safety in college, and he became a phenomenal linebacker. So you got a linebacker with ball hawking skills, and this is what they do. I do like Marcelino McCrary-Ball. I do think he's undersized a little bit, but listen, I think he's going to go out there and ball out, and he's going to earn his job on special teams. And I think, unfortunately, I feel like. I don't want to say this, but I feel like there's going to be some guys that are going to be upset because he's going to beat them out. And one of those guys are DFF. Like, I think DFF gets beat out by this young kid. I really do.
DFF's a great special teamer, but
Great
this
special teamer.
kid is legit. And I did an interview with him. You can see it on my channel on YouTube. And I'm like, dude, why'd you come here, man? There's Dre and there's Azeez and there's Warner and there's like no room at the inn. You know what I mean? What are you doing here? And he's like, man, those guys are lions, and I'm a lion. I want to run with them, and I'm going to prove that I got what they got. And it was like I saw that interview, and I'm like, this guy's going to be freaking awesome. And of course, he looked great in the preseason. Last question. Last one before we let you go. Upcoming draft 3 weeks away. Give me any player, any position, just some player in this upcoming draft that you are just super intrigued by, that you're like, wow, man, I keep coming back to looking at this guy, or just there's some reason you're intrigued by a certain player. I got one I'm going to throw you. You throw me one that you got.
It's tough, right? Because I want everybody. I want Sidney Brown.
From Illinois.
I want the dog safety, but then I realized there are other guys we can get probably a little bit later that have different type of dog in them. But Sydney's like just this He's just this monster of a dog. But I'm stuck around Tajay Spears. Here's why.
Yes, he's great.
I can't explain what I saw, Larry. So I got to see. I didn't see any of his collegiate games live, but I watched. I was at the Senior Bowl, and he was unstoppable. So it's one thing when you play for Tulane and whatever that conference is, but when you're playing against all stars from all the conferences and you show out, that stands way more than any of his collegiate film because now he's doing it against the best of the best or the cream of the crop. I understand that he's had some injuries to his ACLs and things like that. Reminds me of a former 49er player. I don't know if you remember out of the U, but he kind of gives me that resemblance. He's not your fastest guy, but he can be durable. He can catch out of the backfield. He can rush for over 1,000 yards. This kid does not go down. He breaks tackles. So I don't know why I'm infatuated with freaking running backs, but that's the one that's standing out to me the most.
Dude, for me, it's Malik Cunningham, the quarterback at Louisville.
Really?
He's 6'1", 190, kid from Alabama, but he's done it. He's really done it in his career. He's passed for 7,800 yards, 62 touchdowns in his career. 2021, he had 20 touchdowns. You know, he's second to Lamar of University of Louisville for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback with 38. The guy has big time movement ability and he's really, really smart. He's already graduated school. He's got a degree in communications. He's involved in a post baccalaureate program. He's working on a master's. He's super athletic. I like the way he throws. The running is undeniable. This guy has got some real skills. I mean, this guy is a phenomenal prospect, and they're thinking maybe day 3 late. Malik Cunningham, man, if you got a 7th round pick, Malik Cunningham, I mean, go watch his highlights and then come back and tell me what you think because I keep coming back to this kid. He's got huge athleticism, enough of an arm. I've talked to some quarterback people that say that he can't make plays from the pocket. But you know what? The stats are there, man. He did it. He did it in college at Louisville. He's athletic. He's smart. He's got a good arm. He looked good in the All-Star games. Malik Cunningham is the guy that I just keep coming back to that I think is going to go like 6th round, 7th round Breezy. And I
Okay.
think he's going to make it, and people are going to be like, wow, Malik Cunningham. So just
Hey,
that's my guy, man.
he could be the guy. Hey, listen, you mentioned 4 quarterbacks that the 49ers should be interested in. That was one of them. I didn't like the way he tested at the combine, but I
No, he
mean,
didn't. He didn't look great at the
it was just
combine.
the combine.
He needs refinement, but I mean, the production's there, the
Yeah,
athleticism's
sure,
there, the
sure.
smarts is there, the experience is there. There's several of the traits that I really value in quarterbacks, and this kid's got it, man. I would love to see him in a system with weapons where you got to defend his ability to scramble, and you have
That's the key, man.
he can dump it off to to the weapons the Niners have. I mean, that could be lethal. He could.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a 7th round pick, or maybe a 6th round pick. Breezy, we'll let you go, man. I know you got a show going tonight. Have
Yeah.
knock it out of the park, man. Hope
Hey,
you break a leg, as they say. I love the Calvin Klein look and the hat, man. The hat looks sharp, man.
hey, man, appreciate it, man.
What do
Thank you
you
so
want to
much.
tease on the channel? Because I know you got a bunch of stuff coming up this week.
I
What do you
mean,
tell us
yeah,
what you got cooking?
tomorrow I'll be actually tomorrow I'll be on Johnny Dell Academy's show, Johnny Dell Football Academy show. So that'll be tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then the Wayne Breezy show 11 a.m. on Friday. We have the R&B show with Raj. That'll be going on. I'll be on the road jumping on that. So Raj will be hosting that show. That's tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, man, Larry, I'm trying to keep up with you, bro, man. You put shows out left and right. I'd be like, dang, he just got off a show. How he do another one? I gotta take a break. I gotta reset, recharge. You know what I mean? But you're on point, man.
Well, man, it's always good to have you on. And next week on the Breezy channel,
We'll
we'll
be
be
on the Breezy
back.
channel. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting and very fun.
Hey,
I
have a
want
great show tonight. Thanks for your time.
thank you, brother.
Have a terrific day. Stay blessed, and we'll talk to you next week.
Same to you, man. Peace.
Wayne Breezy, fantastic. He is fantastic, and his channel's really cool. And you know what? A couple things that Breezy does on his channel that I would just love to copy. I can't copy, straight copy, but he's got for new members. I think he's got like a cool like air horn sound for new members. When he's like, "Hey, AJ's a new member." AJ says, "Awesome show, guys." We'll say AJ's a new channel member, and he'll be like, "Eh." He'll play this air horn, and it's just freaking awesome. It's just really, really loud and boisterous. All right, this is what we are going to do right now. We are going to put the video call thing in the chat. So if you would like to participate via the video call, you can do that. I also have a bunch of starred chats. So there you go. Under the Krug Show, if you want to participate on the video call, you can do that and qualify for our New York style Italian sausage contest. Everybody who participates on the New York style sausage line over the next 2 months is qualified to win the grand prize, which is a box of sausage from New York style Italian sausage and or lunch with me and the great Pasquale at their plant in Sunnyvale. So some of you, I realize, watching on YouTube could be watching from afar, so we'll figure out exactly what to give you in lieu of the grand prize. But it's going to be great. So if you want to participate via the video call, please do. I've got some starred chats that I want to get to. First, let me thank my sponsor, Pig in a Pickle, the sponsor of today's show, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Phenomenal product. I mean, it is absolutely awesome. Pig in a Pickle, 2 locations. They're in Emeryville, open 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday, and they're open in Corte Madera, Marin County, 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. The brisket is amazing. The brisket chili is rare. Like, I make chili. I just made chili the other night for the family, but I never go brisket. I mean, to do brisket and then to put it in chili, it sounds awesome, and then when you taste it, you're like, oh, it's incredible. And then the potato chips cooked in the beef fat, oh my God. And you can only get those in Marin County. And here's what the restaurant in Marin County looks like. And we'll be back in a minute with more of your chats and hopefully some of your video calls on the Krug Show. All right, welcome back to the Krug Show. Hope you guys are hope you enjoyed the great Wayne Breezie. All right, Breezie's awesome. He is fantastic, and it's always great to have him on. A lot of interesting stuff. Sven throws the super chat. He said, any legs to the Aaron Rodgers 49er news? Great work, sir. I don't know. I really don't know. I really think my read is the same read that you guys have. That many of you have already expressed, whether it be today or yesterday in the chat, whether it be online on YouTube on the comments, that it's probably unlikely that Aaron Rodgers is coming to the Niners. But The one thing about Aaron Rodgers is he's in his own category. He is a Hall of Famer, and the price tag for him in trade and in contract may be to the Niners' liking. It sounds, I mean, it's amazing when you think about it, but Aaron Rodgers only counts $15 million against the cap. So you can make that work if you wanted to make it work. So do they want to make it work? And then the question is, what is, I would say no, go with your young guys. Go with Lance, go with Purdy, go with Darnold, go young. I think that's probably the best route to go. But I do understand the people that are like, hey, man, Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers. The only reason I could even picture the 49ers being interested in Aaron Rodgers would be if two things had happened. If they have lost their belief in Trey Lance, one, and at the same time, if they have serious concerns about Brock Purdy's ability to make it back from this injury in a short amount of time and play good football for them at some point this year. Because look at this roster. You got George Kittle, you got Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Trent Williams. You've got a great core. The Niners right now in Vegas have the highest over-under of any team in pro football, and that's partly due to how bad their division is. But it's partly due to the fact that they're damn good, and they've got a team that's ready to win. So the one thing about the 49ers is that they want to have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year. So if for some reason they feel like Trey's not going to develop or they've lost their belief in him, and if they think Brock Purdy is not coming back until November or December, then you could fit, and Rodgers, because he's got a $15 million contract, you could squeeze him in under the cap. And because Green Bay is now willing to maybe take, day 2 picks or maybe a day 2 pick and a conditional pick, maybe you could get him for a couple third-round picks and a conditional pick. Who knows? I mean, if that's the price tag, maybe they would bite. Maybe the Niners would have interest. But I think those things would have to be the case. If they really think Brock Purdy's coming back, based on what they've told everybody that they love Brock Purdy and they think he's the guy and they think he's special and blah, 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 then they're not bringing in Rodgers. They're just not. But if Purdy, they don't think they think there's a chance he'll be out till November or December, or they think maybe he might be diminished coming off the surgery, and they don't want to give those reps to Trey Lance, then maybe Rodgers makes sense. Cousins makes no sense. Rodgers could potentially make sense. Now, if we're voting, I vote against it. I vote against Aaron Rodgers because he's 40. And yeah, Tom Brady just played to 44, but he is the exception. He is not the rule. It's not like Aaron Rodgers is going to play for 4 more years. And I think when you see a player that plays to 44, that makes you look at 40 differently. You're like, oh yeah, but it's, Brady played till 44. Yeah, that's Brady. That's Brady. And Brady didn't just play to 44. Brady won a Super Bowl at 42, right? So he really did it. Rodgers doesn't look like he's on that trajectory to me. To me, he looks like a guy who wants to get the ball out of his hand, who doesn't want to take hits, who isn't going to take hits. And so it's just a matter of, can you protect him? And then the Niners offensive line has not been able to protect the quarterback that well or that consistently. So to me, it breaks down in a lot of ways. I think that ship has sailed. And I kind of wonder, does Aaron Rodgers even want to be here? Does Aaron Rodgers want to be a Niner? But it does make you wonder if there is that report out there that the Niners are talking about, to Green Bay about Rodgers. Are they really interested there, or is it possible they just want to kind of keep tabs on the whole situation? I don't know. It's a really difficult one to read. Lamar, you heard Kyle shoot that down. Cousins financially doesn't work. The Niners have said repeatedly that their big thing is that, they like the fact that they can build their team with a quarterback on a rookie deal. So that doesn't lend itself to Aaron Rodgers coming here, but it is Aaron Rodgers, and he is a future Hall of Famer, and he's a very, very special player. And if he came here with the Kyle calling the plays and the Niners offense, the weapons that they have, and how he can get the ball out, who knows? Maybe he could play 3 more years. The interesting thing on the contract is this year it's worth $15 million. Next year it balloons to $26 million. So I don't think they're going to be in a position to want to carry Aaron Rodgers as a $26 million quarterback next year. But maybe Aaron Rodgers maybe it's not about next year. Maybe Rodgers is just here this year as a placeholder for either the development of Trey or Brock for next year. You know, I personally, I'd be very disappointed. I'd be very disappointed on a lot of fronts. One, because that probably means that Brock is hurt more seriously and that he's not coming back this year, or his return this year is much more in question. Or it means that for whatever reason they've lost some confidence in what Trey Lance is going to be. And so that either way, I don't think it sends a great message. And I think it's a 1-year situation, because what are you going to do then next year? You're going to pay him $26 million? No. So you're probably going to redo that deal, but then you're going to add years on. So I don't. To me, I don't know. The Rodgers thing is complicated, and I also, we know you're not going to get the best football from Aaron Rodgers, of his career. He's definitely in decline. Look at his numbers this year. So I watched him a few times this year, and I thought, this year he doesn't look the same as last year. Last year he looked like a much different player. This year, he hasn't looked like that player. And so I would be very, very hesitant to trade for Aaron Rodgers. Now, the Mac Jones thing is also really interesting, because if the same thing that you said that I just kind of threw out there about Brock and Trey, like, you wouldn't go down the Aaron Rodgers road unless you thought Brock wasn't coming back this year, and if you thought you didn't believe in Trey. So if you're going down the Aaron Rodgers road, that means probably that Brock's not coming back this year, or not coming back till later, and that you've lost your belief in Trey, at least in the short term. Well, if you've lost your belief in Trey in the short term, then what do you make of the Mac Jones rumors? I mean, I don't know. I mean, at least the only thing I could say that would lend any credence to Mac Jones is that he, like Shanahan referenced, is also a quarterback on a rookie deal. So I think the quarterback, Rodgers, you'd make special exceptions for. Lamar and Cousins, I think no. You would say too expensive. But then the guys that are still on rookie deals, like Mac Jones, who had coming off a disappointing year, like Zach Wilson, who's persona non grata. Do those guys make sense? And people, I would say no, but we're not Kyle. I mean, it's like, why did you bring in Sam Darnold when you have Trey Lance ready to roll? Because you were probably worried about, either Trey or Brock's health. So if you have that concern, then maybe they are going in a different direction. We're going to see. It's all going to play itself out over the next 3 weeks. If you look at the historical breakdown on this, you get far more for a quarterback going into and during the draft than you get for a quarterback that you trade after the draft. Quarterbacks that you trade after the draft, you're usually getting 6th-round pick in the next draft. You're not getting a good pick. But if you trade them going into the draft before teams have made their picks, then you typically, or historically I should say, get a much better price. All right, let's go to the super chats, or the starred chats, and see what people have to say. There's some good ones in here. We've got this one from Gregis Khan. He says, I don't believe the conspiracy theory of Shanny being talked into Trey Lance. He runs the show in San Francisco. I don't either. That's a good one, Gregis. I don't either. I don't believe Shanahan. Shanahan's making $5 million a year. He's the guy who makes all the money. And what, you think Jed's going to say, I know football better than you? No. You think Lynch is going to force a quarterback on his offensive-minded head coach? No. So it's just not plausible. There's no way. There are people, Chris Sims and others, Mike Lombardi, who have thrown this out there publicly multiple occasions. The Niners drafted Trey Lance, but that wasn't the quarterback that Shanahan wanted. He wanted Mac Jones. Well, if he trades Trey Lance for Mac Jones, we'll know that Lombardi and those guys were right. Right? We'll get the final answer. But I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think that's going to happen. New Dawn Red October. Trey is going to the Texans, confirmed by the fact that the Texans are now saying that they're going to draft pass rusher Will Anderson with their top pick. I did see that. What if the Texans bypass the quarterbacks? You've got D'Amico there. You got Cesario there. What does that mean? That's interesting. That one's interesting. If the Texans don't go quarterback, near the top of the draft, what will that mean? Will that mean that they had to have a pass rusher? I don't think it's their statement of their love for Davis Mills. But then you also got to remember, Davis Mills went to Stanford. Maybe Davis Mills would be attractive to the 49ers. Who knows? But that's interesting. Would Trey be traded to the Texans if the Texans say, you know what? We'll trade you our second-round pick, and we'll take Trey, and we'll give you Davis Mills. Would you do that? Would you take Davis Mills and the Texans' second-round pick for Trey Lance if they offered that? If the Texans said, you know what? No, we're not going quarterback. There's too many questions about, C.J. Stroud and Will Levis and all these guys, all these quarterbacks. Too many questions. We'll go with Trey, and we'll go with Will Anderson at the top. It would be an interesting move. The one thing you can say without a doubt is that D'Amico, as a defensive coach, knows what Trey Lance is as an offensive player. He's studied him. He's watched him. He's seen him in practice. He knows him. We know that. So yeah, if they wind up going Will Anderson and don't go quarterback, Texans could be a spot for Trey. And I got to think maybe Davis Mills would be coming back. Maybe you get Davis Mills on a pick. I don't know. It's all about how much do you believe in Trey on the Niners side. The Car God says Jake Haener out of Fresno State is a perfect fit for the 49ers. I like Jake Haener too. They say he's pretty cocky. He was the MVP of the Senior Bowl. All the guy did was win at Fresno State. Guy won and won and won. Played terrific football there. There's something really. I mean, he's also 6 feet. He's one of these guys who's 6 feet tall. He's not 6'3". He's smallish, but he's got a pretty good arm. I mean, this guy does not have a weak arm. He's got a good arm. So, and I like the cockiness. I like the fact that every time I watch the guy, he plays well. Even in the All-Star game, he played well. As I said, MVP of the Senior Bowl. That one's interesting. I kind of like some of the other guys better, but I think Brock Purdy, Jake Haener at the end of the draft should call Brock Purdy and say, Brock, you made me some money. We got this one. I said Max Duggan before. Eric Thurman says Duggan, Dalton. He says he's Andy Dalton. No. Duggan Dalton. I like that. I don't know, man. That one's interesting. I mean, I did the deep dive the other day on Max Duggan, and, there's a lot to like there. There really is a lot to like. I mean, I'll tell you, when I started sitting down, when I first watched him, I'm like, I really didn't like him. But, man, there's a lot of great things. I mean, kid's a tough kid. He's got big hands. He ran 4.52. He was a star quarterback in high school, player of the year in the state of Iowa, then goes to TCU, and then gets the jobs taken away from him. Sonny Dykes gave the job to the Oklahoma transfer, Chandler Morris, going into his senior year, and he could have entered the transfer portal and tucked tail and quit. Instead, he said no, and he went to Sonny Dykes, who I know, and he told Sonny, I'm going to be the best backup quarterback you've ever had until you need me to play. And damn, man, that's the way you do it. I mean, that is the way you do it. So I like the way this kid's wired. And sure enough, Chandler Morris, first game against Colorado, hurts his knee, has to come out of the game. Here comes Max Duggan, throws a couple touchdown passes, and never looked back. They went 12-1. They wound up in the national championship game. He was the Heisman Trophy runner-up. He was the Davey O'Brien Award winner. He was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he was big time. He had a hell of a year. And he's got some of the traits that I really admire. He's scrappy. He's tough. He's a leader. He's got intangibles for days. He's got a nice, compact release. He throws with touch and timing and anticipation. He's poised. He's smart. He's super smart. And he's a hard worker. Doesn't have great arm strength, though. He's kind of like Brock Purdy in that regard. I think Brock probably has maybe even a little better arm strength. He doesn't throw a great deep ball. He's got below average size. He definitely needs to work on his downfield accuracy. Definitely needs to improve on his fundamentals and his technique and his stride. I mean, there's several things. When you watch him, he's a quarterback coach's dream. There's several things that you can work on with Max Duggan. But this kid is physically tough, and he's mentally tough. And if you want to run some of the RPO game, he can run that. You want to run the quick game, he can run that. He had 28 career rushing touchdowns. He's shown on the field that he can go through his progressions. He definitely moves effectively within the pocket. Michigan blitzed the hell out of him, and he beat the blitz effectively. He's just got great makeup. He's an elite competitor. Great in the red zone. Throws strikes on the move. Processes quickly. I mean, the guy's good. He's a good player. And he's got, like Brock Purdy, 47 career college games, 73 touchdowns, 28 picks, kind of a 3-to-1, touchdown to interception ratio. He looks awesome in the bootleg game. Definitely can operate the quick game. Some people compare him to like Sam Ehlinger, the former Texas quarterback. I've seen Tim Tebow. He throws way better than Tebow. To me, he's kind of Gardner Minshew-ish. He's kind of like a Gardner Minshew, which is hardly awesome, right? So I'm sitting here talking for 2 minutes about somebody who I'm telling you is Gardner Minshew. But this kid had a productive career, looked really good in the practices at the Senior Bowl. He's got a great chemistry with his wide receivers. Some of the interviews the wide receivers did, they just swore by Duggan. He's a leader. He's a West Coast offense, developmental, day 3 quarterback with a lot of nice traits. And they could do worse. They could do worse than Duggan in the draft, for sure. But Eric's not a fan, and I can see where you're calling him Andy Dalton, because there's kind of an ordinariness when you first see him, and it kind of reminds you of Dalton. I think this kid's has way more moxie, way more athleticism, way more foot speed, way more toughness than the Red Rifle, who's had a decent career, and he's made some money. Eric Thurman, the Louisville quarterback. Yeah, that's the guy that's super intriguing to me. Malik Cunningham. Now, he needs work on his pocket passing. And if you watch his highlight reel, I would say 70% of the time it seems like he takes a look and then he runs. But his running ability is incredible, and his throwing ability is he's done it. And we're talking about a really smart kid. So to me, Cunningham is intriguing, very, very intriguing player for sure. Relax, bro. If anyone is a bust, it's Ambry Thomas. I'll say this, though. There will be teams around pro football that will say, I'll take Ambry Thomas, because he's a good-sized corner from a good program who had good college film. I don't know what's going on. He fell out of favor this year. He was basically a special teamer all year. And but he's got too much value to just bring to camp and cut him. So if they don't like him, they're probably going to move him. Mr. NorCal, Trey Lance played 2 NFL games and people calling him a bust. #toxic fans. First of all, people are going to say all kinds of things. Okay, that you just got to get used to that. But that's just how popular the NFL is. There's a myriad of opinions. But I don't think it's really to me, it's not that fans are calling him a bust. It's that it seems like the 49ers are somewhat hesitant to go forward with him, and they keep, talking up Darnold. I thought this was going to be, a year for Trey to kind of, just battle it out with Brock. You get two guys coming off injuries and two young guys. They're one's 23, one's 24. What are we so afraid of? Competing. Everybody else in camp competes. Why can't these guys compete? Why do they have to name anybody? Why couldn't they just say, hey, you know what? We got a couple guys, and they're gonna compete. Instead, it's like, no, Brock's our guy. And by the way, here's Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold's awesome. It's like, whoa, what happened? Sam Darnold's awesome. Did I miss something? I feel like I got knocked into a hole, and there was like 5 years of NFL football I missed, and somehow I'm now coming out in this alternate universe where Sam Darnold is good. But listen to Kyle. He's not just good, he's great. Greatest skill set he's ever seen, he said. The Car Gods. I'm a retired businessman. Been a Niner fan since the Niners had a mule as the mascot. Look it up, kids. Or ask Larry. Hey, that's before my time, man. Dude, I was born in 70. I'm 50, but I ain't 70. I don't know. A mule? I don't remember that at all. But I do remember. Murph has a book that he sent me. That's got Michael Zagaris sitting right there behind me. Michael Zagaris. It's like this photo history of the Niners, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's an incredible book, and in there are a couple pictures of this said mule, but that was before my time. Maybe at Kezar. Maybe those are the Kezar days. Someone says Car Gods is a bot. No, but I don't remember the mule. Don't remember the mule. That's before my time. MF throws a little Giant nugget in here. Conforto's a strikeout machine. Yeah, Giants lost today to Dylan Cease and the Chi Sox. So the Giants now 2-3 through the first 5 games. I will say this though, a couple of those games they swung the bat well. If they continue to swing the bat well, that is going to be, to me, you know what? Are the Giants going to win the World Series this year? No, they're not. They're not going to win the World Series. Are they even going to be a 500 team this year? I don't think so. I think they're sub 500. But as long as they swing it, I can watch it every day. I can sit there and tune in and watch it every day as long as the ball's jumping, as long as they're hitting the ball, as long as they're scoring some runs. To me, that's baseball. I want to see some action. I want to see guys circling the bases. I want to see doubles and triples and homers. I want to see them swing it. When you get into these games where they go, and we're going to the 9th, and the Giants still looking for their first runner in scoring position, it's like, I hate that. I can't watch that. I can't, especially not in today's game where it's like walk, strikeout, walk, strikeout, walk, strikeout, home run, walk, strikeout, walk, strikeout. Can anybody put the ball in play? Can anybody, show me a little bit more athleticism? We got a good one here from Kid Clientele 19. He says Quantrez Knight! Quantrez Knight is a sleeper. He's going to surprise a lot of people. Yeah, I love Quantrez. In fact, his dad Tommy follows me on Twitter. And I joked with Quantrez about that. I told him, hey, Quantrez, I'm going to go tweet right now that you look good in practice today. I go, Tommy's going to retweet it. And he's like, yes, he is. Yes, he is. So is there anything cooler than my son's in the NFL and I'm going to watch him and support him and retweet positive comments about him? That just reminds me of, that unwavering dad support, which is so cool. So, yeah, I like Quantrez, though. He wore 24 at UCLA. This guy was a true alpha in the Bruins secondary, and he can play a lot of spots. I think he can play the slot corner. They have him on the depth chart at corner. I think he could be a free safety. Like right now, if the season started today, your free safety is Tayshaun Gibson. Your strong safety is Talanoa Hufanga. George Odom is your special teams ace. You let Tarvarius Moore go. I think right now Quantrez would be him and Taylor Hawkins, who's also a pretty good player, Taylor Hawkins was good at San Diego State. I think both those guys will be in camp this summer, battling. I mean, they're borderline NFL players as far as neither of them are superstars, but Quantrez has got a great feel, and Hawkins does as well. And if once these guys get a whole year in, NFL dietitians and maximizing their ideal weight and getting stronger and more sudden and being able to work out in a professional facility all year, learning the defense last year, all the experience, all the mental reps that those two guys got, and then to turn around this year and now get an opportunity, they'll have an opportunity to compete. And I think it's very likely that the Niners will bring in one or two guys to compete with them, and it's going to be a good situation. I think Quantrez is a little bit better than Hawkins, but I like Quantrez quite a bit. I think Quantrez is, he's not a superstar athlete as far as quick twitch, but he's really, really smart. Like, you could have played him last year, and he would have played. He would not have disappointed. Now they might have burned him down the field in coverage a little bit, and some of the speedier guys, some of the quicker stop and start guys will bother him, but he's a smart football player. And when he played for the Bruins, he got everybody lined up correct. He was versatile. He was a hitter. He was the alpha in that Bruins secondary when he played for UCLA. So, great guy, and he's probably going to get a chance this summer in camp. It's going to be a competitive situation, that's for sure, but he'll have a shot. The Krug Show. Hit the like button. Hit the like and subscribe. And also Svence's Logan Webb and Tim Anderson chirping match on the mound today. I saw Anderson. Did Anderson get run out of this game? Did he get ejected? I was only half watching it towards the end there. But it seemed like the umpire stalked him back to the dugout. He started chirping in the dugout. I don't know if they ran him. The Car Gods. In my 40s, Larry, my dad, myself, and the family bleed red and gold. Wow. Car Gods. That's great. As Gary used to say, that's good knowledge. That's great knowledge. That's great knowledge. There you go. But yeah, no, ultimately, I think the one thing about this 49er season ahead is that they're going to have a deep roster with a bunch of guys competing. And this next couple of weeks is going to be very interesting as we get closer to the draft. And those four guys that I brought up today, to Breezie, the two from Louisville, Keitrell Clark and Yaya Diaby, and then the safety Brandon Hill from Pittsburgh, and the running back Izzy Abinaconda from Pittsburgh. Those four guys, man, I would have no problem if the Niners wanted to fill some of their needs with those four guys. All four of those guys look phenomenal on film. And so it's good. It's always nice when you see your favorite team being like connected to some guys that are absolutely, ball players that you really believe in. One other Niners Nation story that I want to hit. The Niners have worked out 3 kickers during the pre-draft process. They acquired Zane Gonzalez. Robbie Gould is still out there. There's a lot of speculation as to how this is going to go. Is Gonzalez their guy or not? He's their guy for the moment. They acquired him via a trade, but if you look into the details of the trade, it's about a conditional pick, so there might not even be anything from the Niners going back to the Panthers if they find a better kicker than Zane Gonzalez and he's not in camp with them or they cut him. So according to a report from our good friend Matt Barrows, who covers the Niners for The Athletic, he says the 49ers worked out the Michigan kicker, Jake Moody, number 1 kicker in the draft, the Maryland kicker, Chad Ryland, and the special team coordinator, Brian Schneider, who's very trusted, longtime Seahawks special team coordinator, really came in this year, I thought made a huge impact on the 49ers. He also has worked out the Auburn kicker, Anders Carlson. So he did that in March. Now, Moody is the top kicking prospect in this year's draft. He is the guy that's most likely going to be drafted. He won the 2021 Lou Groza Award, which is given to the best kicker in all of college football. He was a finalist for that same award this year. He made all 148 PATs during his career. He made 82% of his field goal attempts. He was 69 of 84. And they're saying that Moody might be in the 4th or 5th round. So I would that's not the kicker that I like. I mean, I don't personally, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that I can scout kickers, but I did take a look at these guys. I kind of like the kid from Maryland, who they did look at, Chad Ryland. He started off at Eastern Michigan. He transferred to Maryland, and he didn't, he made 97% of his PATs, 77% of his field goals. So his numbers in college were not as good as Moody from Michigan, but he made some big kicks in some tough spots. And last year he made all of his field goal attempts inside of 40. So he's like one of these guys that's very, very reliable. Carlson is interesting because that's Daniel Carlson's brother, the Raiders kicker, who I think is maybe as good a kicker as there is. I mean, Daniel Carlson's a tremendous kicker. Now he's doing it in the dome now, but his brother has been the starting kicker at Auburn for the past 5 years, and he made 173 of 176 PATs. And he handled kickoff duties, but on field goals, he only made 71%. 79 makes at a 110, 71, technically 72%. So he did make multiple 50-yarders, though, over his career, and he's got a little bit more of a leg, it sounds like, than Ryland. I kind of like Ryland because to me, what I value in a kicker is consistency. And the fact that this guy made all of his attempts inside of 40, I mean, I need somebody who's going to be absolutely money when you get into field goal range. You got to, I don't care if he's got a booming leg. Who cares? Did he make the field goal? And I'll take the more consistent guy. And I just think Ryland out of Maryland looks to me, I like the way he strikes it. And also I like some of the numbers that he's put up. Car God says, Larry, any news on Robbie Gould? None that I've read. Not one. I think Robbie Gould was looking for an amount of money that he hasn't been able to get yet. But I do expect him to go to Chicago. I mean, he lives in Chicago. His family's in Chicago. He started in Chicago. He's a celebrity in Chicago. I mean, that'd be a very popular move by Ryan Poles if he could bring Robbie back into the fold. And I think that's where he probably wants to finish. I mean, and I don't blame him. You want to be home. You want to be home. And if you're not home, it's your kids are growing up. You're not seeing them. You start, and Robbie's one of these guys. He's played 18 years. This guy's played a long time, man. So that's a lot of living out of hotels. That's a lot of, I mean, I guess he had his family with him this year, but man, that's tough. And if your family wants to live in the Midwest and you're out here on the West Coast, that's why I always feel like sometimes the teams on the West Coast are at a little bit of a disadvantage. They travel more than the other teams. And there's just, believe it or not, I'm out here in Northern California. Most of you watching or listening are also Northern California people. So, we like it and we see the advantages of California. But man, there's a lot of people that don't want to live in California and don't want to live this in the Pacific time zone, separated by 3 hours from family and friends on the East Coast. So I always thought of that as what? Why would it's so beautiful out here. Our weather is so incredible. We have no bugs. It's unbelievably scenic, and you've got some of America's greatest cities, I think, are on the West Coast. Why don't people want to be out here? But if you're not from here, maybe you don't want to be here, and it's it's more expensive to live out here, and so there's just, believe it or not, just from talking to Ned Colletti, who did baseball contracts and tried to attract free agents, both of the Dodgers and the Giants, he would say to me, I would have to do a canvassing of the league at the end of the year, and I would always have to kind of check in and just find out, hey, if we have interest, is he willing to live west? And he said it would be shocking the number of guys that would come back and say, you know what? He loves you guys, thinks you guys are great. He's not willing to live west. So that's a reality. That's a reality for some people. And I love it out here. I'm sure many of you do as well, but there's a lot of people that if you're from the East, you want to stay East and you don't want to be 3 hours different. Sargon says, I can see Larry dancing in the 1970s with his bell bottoms, listening to the Bee Gees, staying alive. Well, I wasn't dancing too much because I was under 10. I was born in 70. So there was not a lot of dancing in the 70s, but I do remember staying alive. And I did see the movie with John Travolta, who now we know is kind of a freak of nature. Sacktown Izzy says, "Yo, light the beam, Krueger." People are goading me on the light the beam. The light the beam. Warriors Kings. I'm all for Warriors Kings. I'm all here for Warriors Kings. I cannot wait for Warriors Kings. And also, if you think about it, if you're the Warriors and you get that 5 seed and you get Kings Memphis, or I should say in that 6 seed, you get Kings Memphis, as opposed to being in that 5 seed where you get Phoenix Denver. I mean, things could go. This is not a Warrior team. Like, it doesn't matter who they play. It does. It absolutely does matter who they play. And I think they would smoke Sacramento. And I think they're going to beat Memphis. So if the Warriors finish as the 6 seed, I think I can see them in the conference finals against Denver. But if the Warriors finish in the 5 seed, they could go down in the first round to Phoenix. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But we'll see. But talk about a difference. Between Sacramento, who's haven't been to the playoffs in almost 20 years, and Memphis, who just Memphis just pushes all of the Warriors veterans buttons, and they're just the part of the thing is, are you going to get Golden State at 100%? They don't always go 100%. Sometimes they go 80%. Sometimes they go 75%. Well, if they get Memphis, they're going 100%. So I don't think Memphis can hang with Golden State if Memphis, if it gets time for Memphis, Golden State, I don't think Memphis is going to be able to handle Golden State when Golden State's fully focused and totally revved up. And now you got Wiggins coming back, and you got Stephen Clay playing well, and you got, Moses Moody playing the best ball of his year, and you've got, GP2 healthy, and Kuminga dialed. I think Sacramento's going down in the first round. And Todd says California's a shithole. That is awesome. Todd says Carlson, very good kicker from Auburn, Larry. I'll have to check him out. I haven't checked him out. But I'll tell you, his brother is a tremendous kicker with the Raiders. We got this one. El Camilo Dorado. Folks think Larry's 500 years old. MF. Is Wotus coaching on the road? No. Just ran into Wotus the other day. Talked to him. Good guy. Doing well. He's not traveling. They would like him to travel from time to time. He definitely can travel, but he's helping out. He's like one of their front office advisors to Farhan. He's got duties within the organization. But no, I just saw him at a game when the team was out of town, and he's not with the team. Or he is with the Giants, but he wasn't traveling. The Car Gods, Larry, are you going to go to the game tomorrow and buy beers at halftime? Yeah. Yes. No, I will not be going to the game tomorrow. Wait, tomorrow? You talking about the Warrior game? Warriors go, what? Don't the Warriors go Friday? I thought the Warriors go Friday. Isn't it Friday against Sacramento? Let me double check that. Check my schedule on that. But I think, yeah, Warriors go, what is it? No, the Warriors go Friday. Friday against Sacramento. So we're off by a day. And I won't be there Friday, but I will be watching that, and we'll be doing a live stream after Friday's game. As far as the rest of the day today on the Krug channel, I'll be on Vish Kumaran's channel at 6:45 tonight. So check me out with Vish tonight on his channel. Also tonight at 8:45. Because of scheduling, we had to move it to 8:45, but Damon Bruce is going to be joining me tonight at 8:45 for our home and home. And then tomorrow on the show, Jesse Naylor stops by on the show at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And Vish is also coming by, I believe, tomorrow night. Friday, Ned Coletti will join us after opening day. We'll be on after the Giants take on the Royals. And then Giants-Royals all weekend long. And then the Warriors-Kings go Friday night. I've invited Carmichael Dave. If anybody knows Carmichael, I'd love to have Carmichael on Friday night after the game, but haven't reached him yet. And then Warriors-Blazers go on Sunday, and that is the last game of the regular season. Then they take a week off, I believe. and then we get playoffs. So this is an awesome time of the year. We're 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. All kinds of football, rumors out there. Josh says D Bruce at 8:45. Yes, D Bruce tonight at 8:45 right here on the Krug Show. Car God says hit me up at the game at Sacramento during halftime for a beer celebration. That's in Sac. So I don't know if I'm going up to Sac. I probably am not. But I need to get up there because I love going up there. I do, and I got to go see my brother. I'll be up there on Easter Sunday. I think I'm bringing some kind of green vegetable to our little powwow at my brother's place in Natomas. We'll be doing it up on Easter Sunday in Natomas. All right, that's going to do it for us. We have one more spot to play right here from our good friends at New York Style Italian Sausage. And we hit Scottsdale in March, courtesy of New York Style Italian Sausage. Man, the best product you're going to find. The Italian spicy, amazing on the grill. The Italian mild. The chorizo is fantastic. Who doesn't love a little chorizo and eggs? Ooh.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York Style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
Welcome back to the Krug Show, coming down the home stretch. Check me out tonight at 8:45 with Damon Bruce right here on the Krug Show. Check me out at 6:45 on Vish's channel. We'll talk a lot of Niners and who knows what topics Vish will come up with tonight at 6:45. But look for that coming up later today. 8:45 on the Krug Show, 6:45 on Vish's channel. New Dawn Red October says Trey Lance to the Texans. Are you reporting that? Also tonight, Lakers, Clippers. That'll be fun to watch. Looking forward to that. The Lakers are playing great. The Clippers, obviously they play in the same arena. I think the Clippers are the home team tonight, but the Lakers are playing well. And, you don't want any part of the Lakers right now. The way if Anthony Davis is healthy, Golden State has a hard time matching up with Anthony Davis. We got this one from Trock Talks. He says, smoke it up. Lazy, Larry. Lazy. It's funny, my kid comes up to me. He's like, Dad, how come so many people in the chat are calling you lazy? I said, no, it has to do with a story that I've told about the great Bill Urbanek, who called me lazy. Larry, let me tell you, you're fucking lazy. Love that guy. Huge impact on my life. Car Gods, last one. He says, hit me up Friday at the Golden One in Sacramento during halftime for beer celebration. And I said last one. Here we go. New Dawn Red October. Any time frame on Andrew Wiggins getting back on the court? No, we don't. I would say Wiggins is probably not coming back until at the soonest, probably Portland. That'll be my guess. The last game of the regular season. Don't you want to have at least one go round with Wiggins out there in the regular season just to see it all come together? I don't know if it's necessary, but that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see at least one game of Wiggins on the floor. And seeing how this team blends. To me, Golden State is this run is going to be the most interesting because they've got all the knowledge, they've got all the experience, and I can't picture outside of Denver I don't know that there's a team in the West that can beat the Warriors 4 times. And even though it's been kind of a hugely disappointing year, I don't know that any team's going to be able to beat them 4 times. They have tremendous character. They got tremendous guts. They got tremendous knowledge. It's hard to picture them going down. Now, Denver has a lot, and they got a ton. You look at the Nuggets, everybody's in their prime. The entire team is like in their prime. So that's where the Golden State's not in that situation. Is Golden State's got some young guys, and Golden State's got some old guys. And they only have a few guys in their prime. But Wiggins is one of them. And DiVincenzo's another. And DiVincenzo's playing incredible. And if somehow Wiggins came back and rebounded in the playoffs the way that he rebounded last year in the playoffs, if Jonathan Kuminga just, plays like with a reckless abandon, personally, I'd love to see Steve play Kuminga and Moody and GP2 more and Anthony Lamb less. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see more from Moody. And I'd like, if I was Steve, I think I'd go to Moses Moody and just say, hey, look at our team. Look at the construction of our team. When you're on the floor, the second unit, you're a primary scorer. So yeah, you're 20 and you got your whole future ahead of you. And you've deferred to these veterans up to this point. Defer no longer. Moses Moody needs to be assertive on the offensive end when he's in there. He's one of the few scorers they actually have on that second unit. So to me, that's a key. If I'm Kerr, I'm telling Kuminga, go to the rim, and I'm telling Moody, look to shoot, look to score. MF says, John Feliciano seems like a good guy. He is a good guy. Been through hell. I mean, the guy's house was condemned. The guy's mother had multiple bouts of cancer. This guy was homeless for a while. He was sleeping on his friend's floor. I mean, the story of Feliciano, it's an amazing story that he made it to Miami and played for the Hurricanes. The fact that this guy has now made, whatever he's made, 10, 12, $15 million in his career. He's built himself a real nice career. I love that pickup because Feliciano's really broad, and you can play him at either guard spot. He's best at right guard. But, as far as between the guard spots, he's probably best at center. So you got insurance against Brendel. You got a guy who can share Burford's right guard spot with him if you choose to go that direction. He's a guy that could take over at right guard if you had an injury and you wanted to kick Burford out to right tackle, which is a spot he played at Texas San Antonio. So there's a lot. They're going into the draft, picking up Matt Pryor and picking up John Feliciano. They're a lot deeper. In the four, and I really like Nick Sakel. I really like Jason Poe. So those guys are on the verge. I think McKivitz is a little bit underrated. They could definitely use maybe one really solid offensive lineman in this draft, but the depth that they've added to the O-line this year, as far as the veterans last year in the draft, it's far deeper than they were just a couple years ago. All right, that is going to do it for us. Check us out once again, 6:45 with Vish on his channel, 8:45 with Damon Bruce later tonight on the Krug Show channel. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show. Yesterday we eclipsed, or 2 days ago, we eclipsed 16,000 subs. And as we are signing off right here, where are we? Let's check it out one more time. We are at 16,112 subs. So if you're hanging in the chat and you haven't hit like or subscribe, please do. If you hit like, that helps the algorithm, help more people find our shows. And if you hit subscribe, you'll just get an alert on your phone. It's free, of course, and you just get an alert on your phone anytime we're going live. You just get an alert that we're going live. And then thank you again to our channel members. They pay $4.99 a month for special content and content ahead of time. And of course, thanks to our sponsors, Telmetrics, New York Style Sausage Company, and last but certainly not least, Pig in a Pickle. Check them out in Emeryville. Check them out in Corte Madera. We'll see you later on today on The Krug Show.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled.